Hello YouTube and fellow radio hounds. Just having a quick look at Allstar, the simple USB tuner menu. But in this application we can set, receive, transmit levels. We can also set some other parameters to do with pre-emphasis, de-emphasis, and also adjust the logic states for the PTT and the COS. So let's dive in. The first thing we need to do is to log into the node via SSH. Now my preferred way of doing this is a bit of software called MOBA Xterm, and you can download as a free home version of this software, which has a couple of limitations, but that's fine. So the first thing you need to do is create a new session. It's SSH. So I don't know what the IP address is, so I'm just going to key up on the node and I'm going to do star 85 and let's see what happens.
IP address 192.168.168.196.
Thank you very much for that. Okay, so the username is root and the port number, the default port for SSH is 22, but these nodes are configured with 222. Okay, so that's all set, so we'll just go ahead, click OK, and it's going to ask us for the password, so just tap the password in there. Okay, it's asking us do we want to save the password for future use, so I'm just going to say no. Okay, so we get this menu, and this is only on the, if you're using the ham VoIP version of Allstar, which I prefer. It's got a lot more features, and what we're going to do is pick the simple USB tuner menu, so just up and down arrow keys here, and just go ahead and hit enter. Okay, so we're in the menu now. So we've got a number of things we can set: the RX level, TX level. We can enable a local echo, which will allow us to test our audio, basically plays back whatever it is. We can manually key the transmitter, enable pre-emphasis and de-emphasis, and so on as you look down through the list. And you'll notice that there's a letter or a number which prefixes each item, and so if we want to set the RX level using the display, it's number 2, and that's the first thing we're going to do. We're going to hit number 2, hit enter. And now it's put us in this set the RX level. Now what we're going to do is talk into the radio, into a handheld radio I've got here. This will be received by the Allstar node, and this will indicate to us what the volume level on the receiver is. And what we're aiming for is about 3/4 of the way up, and just every now and again just touching the end, but not kind of hard over. So if I make a test transmission, you'll see exactly what's going on. Here we go. This is G7 RPG test, G7 RPG test with an audio test, G7 RPG test. Okay, so that's an absolute perfect level. Now let's say for instance it was a bit too high and we wanted to turn it down. What we'd do is we hit enter. Okay, it's telling us the level is currently 800. It's asking us to give a new value. So let's set it to 400. Hit enter. Okay, it's now set to 400. It's put us back on the display again. Tester 1 2 3 4 5. Test 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, that's a bit low. Okay, so hit enter. Let's put it back to 800 because we know that's right. Hit enter. We'll do a quick test again. Test 1 2 3 4 5. Audio level test. Okay, that's about right. Now we don't want to make any changes now, so we'll just hit enter again. And enter again, because we're not changing anything. Put us back in the menu. Now at this point we need to hit W to write the changes. Okay, those changes are now set and saved. Okay, the other things we can look at in here is we can set our transmit level. So this is the all coming from the internet going out into the transmitter. Number 3, and this is the transmit A level. So okay, it's currently set to 600, and we've got a value between 1 and 999. So if we wanted to make it a bit louder, we'd set it to 800 or 900, and if we wanted to make it quieter, we'd set it to 500 or 300, whatever. We're not going to adjust that because we know that's right. Okay, so, but we'll just set it to 600 just so you can see me key something in, hit enter, and that's now set to 600, again W to write the changes, and that's it all done. Okay, we've got some other things in here. We've got a local echo, for instance, so that's C, so you hit C, hit enter, and if I now transmit into the radio, test 1 2 3 4 5 test.
1 2 3 4 5 test.
Okay, you can see there it plays it back to me, and we'll turn that off with that's now disabled. We've got some other options in here. We've got toggle pre-emphasis and de-emphasis. Well, we've got audio coming after the audio. I beg your pardon. De-emphasis mode is currently disabled. If we were taking the receiver audio directly off the discriminator, of course we'd want to do this, and likewise transmit pre-emphasis. We don't need to do that because that's already been taken care of in the link radio. We've got a couple of other options in here. PL filter. This is a high pass 300 Hertz filter, so it filters out the CTCSS, which lives below 300 Hertz. And there's also a DCS filter, which is very similar to the PL filter, but it's a much sharper curve on the filter, and it does have some effect of rolling off some of the low frequency voice frequency a little bit, and you can use these to alter the characteristics of the audio slightly. We've got this is the toggle the Ptt mode, so this really is how the GPIO pin on the CM108 is controlled. There's a little bit of a catch here. It says it's currently active high. What that really means is that the it's reversed. Unfortunately, it's back to front. The Ptt mode active high means that the pin on the chip goes low. It's assuming, this menu assumes that you have got a transistor buffer which inverts the logic, but either way you can switch it so it goes high or low from here. We've also got an option here to set the CTCSS, I beg your pardon, COS, where the COS comes from. We've got a couple of options here. If we go into J, the two that we're interested in is USB and USB invert. PP is parallel port, and this goes back, this is kind of a legacy thing when this used to run on a PC. But the only two options that we're using here is either USB, which is active high, or USB invert, which is active low, and that relates to the volume down pin on the CM108. So I'm not going to make any changes, so I'll just hit enter to come out of that menu. One of the other features in the tuner menu, which is very useful when you're setting up a repeater or a link, is the V option. Now this allows you to look at the states of the control pins, the COS and also the PTT, and that's V for view. Hit V and hit enter. This now gives us a real-time telemetry display of the various different inputs and output signals. So I'm just going to key my handheld radio, so I'm going to put a signal on the receiver of the Allstar node, and what we're looking for is the COS signal to become active. It's currently showing as clear. When I let go of the push to talk on my handheld, what will happen is the node will just momentarily transmit a tone to indicate that it's not connected to anything. So we'll see the PTT state change from clear to keyed, and that tells us that that bit's working as well. So this is very useful if you were interfacing to a controller and you wanted to see what was going on. Okay, so here we go. Test 1 2 3 4 5. COS is now active. Okay, and there you go. And just to come out of this, you just hit enter. We've got a couple of other options in here. RX audio delay. Now this is really cool. What this does is it buffers the audio ever so slightly to push it backwards, so that you can eliminate the squelch tail by delaying the audio slightly by a number of milliseconds. You effectively in time move the audio so that when the COS switches off, the audio is buffered slightly, and you end up chopping the end 250 or 100 milliseconds off the end of the audio, which is enough to get rid of the squelch tail, and that's why you won't hear any or many squelch tails, squelch crunches, whatever you want to call them, in Allstar. So that's the simple USB menu, and you can use this to, as I say, set your RX, TX levels, and also your logic high and low for your transmit and your receive indication. Thanks for watching.